On with the show. This is it. This is RamView.
It's hot out there. Let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline,
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the September 4th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And by the new app called Benched. If you need help with your fantasy team, you want to make sure your lineup is always set, download Benched, the app. Hey, it is exciting. It is the start of the season, and everyone's getting ready to make their predictions, and I am. I'm doing week one predictions, but you know what? Don't get too mad at me, and I'm telling you right off the top is I'm going to save my Ram Lion breakdown for Friday. I'm liking the Rams, but I'm going to break that down on Friday when I have more time. We got games tomorrow night. We got games Friday night, and a lot of stuff to look at, so don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me. And just a heads up, when I give my game predictions, I don't really look at the Vegas line because I don't know how to bet. I'm not saying that as a judgment on anybody else. I just do not know how to bet. All right. Hey, Bill. Hello, Joe from Cheesesteak State, Pennsylvania. Football is coming. Bill, you're in Philly? I did not know you're in Pennsylvania. Wow. I was just out there. Okay. Let's look at the stuff. The Rams released their depth chart. Let's talk about that because I had to take off my glasses to look at it and look at it again. The whole Avila, Jonah Jackson switch. I know I was told Jordan Rodriguez had something out on The Athletic today about this. I don't subscribe to The Athletic. I keep my my overhead at a minimum. I'm not saying she's anything but good, but I just wanted to look at it from our perspective, just from my perspective, and I'll take it from your perspective. I tend to think Jonah Jackson's injury early in camp had something to do with it. You know, also Avila played left guard last season alongside Joe Noteboom. Joe Noteboom took 144 snaps at left tackle, and while replacing Alaric Jackson. So there is some familiarity there. So if Jonah Jackson can play a little center, the familiarity between Noteboom and Avila makes for the best for the Rams in Detroit right now. And if Stafford is good with it, then we should be good with it. If McVay's good with it, then we should be good with it. I do believe, and I'll get to you, Steve. I see you there. I do believe this was just for, how do we say this? Just to give the Rams the best look going into this week. And I hope Noteboom rocks it. And I hope it shakes Alaric Jackson to the core. And I hope he comes back uber motivated because there is no contract next year for Noteboom. He's playing for his next contract. And Avila, I don't know what the details were in terms of getting a 2-game suspension for poor conduct, but the Rams don't suffer fools. So I got to believe we're going to get 2 highly motivated guys playing at left tackle this season. Noteboom gets the first crack. Speaking of left tackles, let's talk about our right tackle. Havenstein right now looks to be playing, and that gives the team 8 offensive linemen going into week 1. And unless something changes, I'm feeling really good about that. It's obvious the Rams are feeling really good about that, where Havenstein is, especially regarding the depth chart. I did see a couple of conversations in social media about Davis Allen being ahead of Hunter Long at tight end. Parkinson's number 1, Davis Allen is number 2. Why would you think Hunter Long would ever be ahead of Davis Allen? I don't get it. You got your blocking tight end, Colby Parkinson, and Davis Allen proved he makes big catches. Stafford trusts him. I just don't get it. And Hunter Long coming off a knee injury. I do not understand why that's a shocker. Basically, as we go into 2024, Parkinson is Higbee, a guy who can catch the ball but blocks. Allen is the 2024 iteration of Gerald Everett, a guy who can make catches but doesn't block. And at least that's not a skill that Davis Allen has developed yet, and they'll probably hold him back. But he does enough, like Gerald Everett did, enough to get on the field. If you remember, what was Higbee? 4th round? Gerald Everett was 2nd round, and that was he was one of the first picks. I think he was the first pick for Sean McVay, and he never got out of that first contract. And they extended Higbee long before they even thought about extending or not extending Gerald Everett. So you got to block. So Parkinson is Higbee, Allen is Gerald Everett. Parkinson's the starter. Allen's the first guy off the pine. I don't understand where anyone thought Hunter Long should have been the number 2 tight end. Anyway, let's move on to around the NFL and other places. I'm not going to say we called it or I called it. Let's say, yeah, we called it, all of us, that we said Trent Williams would return sometime this week. He did. He came back. He got a 3-year deal, $82.66 million with 48 rocks guaranteed and a $25 million signing bonus. Big time bread. And the 49ers, to get him in the house, to get him happy, they made Brandon Ayuk happy. They immediately had to restructure Deebo Samuel to take some of the salary cap pressure off. They converted 16 rocks of Deebo's salary into a bonus, and voila, instant cap space. And to me, it's boom or bust this year for the 49ers. And if there's injuries and all those things that seem to be creeping their way, yeah, they're in trouble. I couldn't be more thrilled. I'm glad they did. I want them extended. I want them. The Rams window is much longer and much wider and much deeper than the 49ers. 49ers are trying to land a Cessna right now. Rams got a runway the size of a 747 or a 787 or whatever you want to call it, a space shuttle. They got a longer runway. And truth is, the 49ers have this year. The other thing I don't understand is the conversation about deciding, is it time to find out if Brock Purdy can play? I thought Brock Purdy showed his worth in the Super Bowl. Just again, 49er fans, maybe Niners Sickness is watching today, maybe somebody else is watching today. Brock Purdy didn't cost you that Super Bowl. Brock Purdy did everything he could to keep you in that game. Your head coach Kyle Shanahan got schooled by the Kansas City coach, right? By Andy Reid. He got schooled down the stretch. They tried to put it on Steve Wilkes, but doggone it, Kyle, come running down the line, call timeout. As you come down to a final play, call a timeout, get your defense set. Kyle Shanahan. I'm good coach, but great. I don't know. And I don't think Brock Purdy's the reason that Frisco didn't win the Super Bowl last year. Just my thoughts. Steelers extend Cam Hayward, 3 years, 45 rocks. He's 35 years old. He's missing games. And the Steelers said, yes, this is a good idea. I know Steeler fan Rob loves it when they spend money on their defense. But why would you do this? This guy's aging out. This guy's fading. What are you doing, Steeler fans? You got to get in. You got to get in Tomlin's head and that franchise's head. Everyone's talking about Omar like he's something special. Why would you give this contract to Cam Hayward? I do not understand why you would do this, and yet they do. And Steelers are in serious trouble. I think they're in serious trouble. Jamar Chase, unless something broke today, is still holding in, and Hassan Reddick is still holding out for the Jets. I think at this point he's only hurting himself. Former Ram Terrell Burgess was released this week by the Bills with an injury settlement. Okay, other places before we dive into power rankings and the schedule and everything before going into the break. I thought it was hilarious. I'm watching, I don't know, was it Coward or somebody else? I was trying to stay up to date. And they're all talking about Caitlin Clark hate, right? And all the hate Caitlin Clark's getting. But you know what they didn't do, these gutless wonders, is they don't talk about who's sending all that hate. They never mentioned Cheryl Swoop's name once. And they just said, hey, everyone's got to get over it. And it's like, hey, why don't you talk about who's not over it regarding Caitlin Clark? Last ad Caitlin Clark here. I do want to say this. It's like, why do we have to hear Caitlin Clark's name and immediately Angel Reese's? Like Bird and Magic. It's not even close. You know, Who are we kidding about Angel Reese and her rebounding record? In 33 games, she has 434 boards. If you've seen her play, at least a third of her boards are off her own misses. So right now, she's averaging 13 boards a game. But you take out a third of those 144, of those 434, her rebounding drops to about 8 rebounds per game, and she's only shooting 38% from the field. And she lives in the paint. She's 6'3" in that league and shooting 38%. Her team's 11-22 and out of the playoffs. You know, they had made the playoffs the last 5 years, 9 of the last 11. And I'm told she's supposed to be a generational player along the likes of Caitlin Clark. Why do they keep trying to push this on us? The KBM, man, the KBM. Well, don't even get me started when Colin Cowherd took a shot at Nolan Ryan, but we'll save that. Okay, I know I'm firing away here, guys. Thank you so much. Tell me, Joe, slow down. You're going too fast. A lot of stuff to talk about. I'm Joe Terroza. I was a sports writer for 21 years, and now I do RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law, Temple City Auto Repair, and your good graces because you guys buy my books. My books are available on Amazon. I just released my 3rd football novel. It's called Game Day in the Ram Cave. It's just friends watching a football game and all the stuff that happens when you try to watch a football game. Check that out. It's on Kindle. It's in paperback. Check that out. Let me know. Appreciate your support. Also, we are supported by Benched, the app, which is a new app. And basically what Bench does is if you're tired of your fantasy games, losing your fantasy games because you forgot to check your lineup, with Benched, that's a thing of the past. Benched is the only app that ensures you never leave a non-starting player in your lineup. Don't miss out on crucial points, and don't be the one who forgot to bench a player on game day. Been there, done that. Win your league, keep your pride, and let your Benched handle the rest. Download Bench today and dominate your fantasy season. Go check that out. I have played with it. That stuff's pretty cool. Looking forward to using it this season, guys. I do all these things, as you know, because my day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank, Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can check us out on Burbank Faith Virtual channel right here on YouTube and other places that have us on social media, Burbank Faith and Burbank Faith Virtual. Okay, let's look at some questions here, and we will get going. All right, Bill, hello, Joe from the Cheesesteak State in Pennsylvania. Football is coming. Did not know you were in Pennsylvania. Steve Ramirez, heard the move was meant to protect Noteboom for 2 weeks. I would think, again, that's familiarity, right? A little familiarity. I thought one of the things people overlooked in the 2022 season and the handful of games that Noteboom played, remember, it was supposed to be David Edwards at left guard. Rams won a Super Bowl with David Edwards at left guard. He got a concussion early that year, and then it was just a Bobby Evans rotational nightmare before the season was out. And who's your wingman is a big deal in this league when you're playing tackle. Tim Burns, Detroit mean to Kelly Stafford? Sad, but I should and don't want to hear about or from players' wives. The Michelle Obama effect. You're the wife, so shut up. Okay, all right. Yeah, they were pretty cruel last year, and the truth is, I think Kelly Stafford has dined out a little bit too much on her husband's name. She should probably swallow her squash a little bit because, they're going to come back and find a way to take you down. They're just going to find a way to take you down. So I think there is some truth to that, Mr. Burns. SM, Kyron will fair catch 90% of the time. Ram fans won't have a problem with that, I don't think. We saw it with Cooper Kupp a few years ago. But my feeling is we got 2 years left of Kyron, guys. We got 2 years left. Two years. Chances of him getting that second contract, what do you think, right? So let's use him for all it's worth. What are we saving him for? So I hope he has that attitude. My speculation is he wants to show versatility to other teams that says, hey, not only can I catch the ball, run the ball, but I could also return punts. And so I think he's willing to market himself that way. If he could be a threat, let's do it. Let's do it because he's gone in 2 years. Blake Corum is the guy, and then it's going to be Blake Corum's turn to walk the green mile. So I'm not too uptight about the Kyron Williams thing, but we'll see. USA Expat, we need a center that can handle the crowd noise. you think of the games Avila played in. He played in all those games last year. Jonah Jackson, of course, played in Detroit. If that is an issue, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't expect it to be an issue where some of these linemen have played, given the fields they've played on, the Big House, the Horseshoe, some of these places, Camp Randall for Havenstein and Bruss. But it's going to be fun to see. It's going to be fun to see. Tim Powers, does Limmer play anywhere but center? Saw Baldy break him down. Baldy said he was solid. I remember reading something on him around draft time. He can play some guard. That's what I've heard. He can play some guard. But I think the first guard out of the chute, Mr. Powers, is going to be Logan Bruss if we need him. SM. Corum, on the other hand, is McVay is on the other hand, is McVay getting ahead of the new kickoff rules? Yeah, Corum's going to be returning kickoffs. First, my thought was, where's Tutu? Because he talked about returning kickoffs, and I thought that would be a good spot for him. You know what? I hate to say it, but man, they just meat grinder these guys. You get all the clicks you can out of these guys. They're 4 years in the league, and then you kind of move on. And I hope so. What I don't understand is why these teams just don't kick the ball out of the end zone. It's no penalty to give the ball to the 30 instead of the 25, right? If you're fearful, just kick it out. Give them the ball at the 30, right? What's the difference between the 25 and the 30, right? So Thomas Wilson, I heard Hunter Long is good at blocking, taking on D ends. Yeah, he must do something right, because what's he been targeted in the NFL? Twice, 2 targets, 1 catch in his whole time. I'm not hating on Hunter Long. It's just the Rams got their blocking tight end. They got Colby Parkinson, and they kept Davis Allen. They knew what Davis Allen's strengths and his liabilities were, and why as a tight end he dropped to what, the 5th round, 6th round, and so I don't see an issue there in terms of that. But yeah, Hunter Long obviously must be able to block, and he's a special teamer, and the Rams are going to need that. USA expat Kyle Shanahan getting schooled in big games reminds me of his pa. There we go. Here's the thing though. Outside of the NFC Championship game, right? And we're not going to count the Week 18 contest last year. He's owned McVay. I know I'm anti-Shanahan, but he does seem to he wins the ones that don't count. There you go. Bill, I'm glad we are not going to Brazil. Me too. Amen. Preach it. If I was a players union, I'd tell them, you better put a kibosh on that. The world's too wacky right now to be traveling, right? In those kind of environments where you're a target. And I totally agree with you, Bill. Steve Ramirez, Shanahan messed up by taking the ball in OT. New OT playoff rules suggest you want the ball last. Whether he took it or didn't take it, I just don't think he handled it properly. I think, again, Andy Reid schooled him either way. So I don't think we're too far off from there, Steve. Bill, what money will be left for Purdy? That's the marvelous thing about it, right? That's the marvelous thing, right? Now think about this. They got Trent Williams in, but they've lost John Feliciano, their right guard, the only other frontline guy on their offensive line. He's gone till midseason after a knee surgery. Jake Brendel's an average center. Colton McKivitz is a questionable right tackle. And Aaron Banks, Aaron Banks is just a guy at left guard. So they needed Trent Williams in there. Trent Williams knew they needed him. Trent Williams got his dough, and now they are up against it. It really is about this year. And if I'm Debo, I'm keeping my eyes open, because it looks like I'm going to get shipped someplace, because I don't think there is enough money for Purdy right now. Tim Burns, Reese looks like Sid from the Ice Age. I never saw Ice Age. But man, she's brutal to watch sometimes. She's just got no touch around the rim. Bill, can't find your book on Amazon. Could you leave a link? Thanks. Let's see here. You know what? I posted a link on the previous episode. But yeah, Amazon, type in Joe Tarosian, and then just type in Joe Tarosian, and it should come up. Game Day in the Ram Cave. And I think by Friday's show, I will have a hard copy in my hand. If not, type in Tangent Dreams, and where you see the author, click on my link as an author, and the rest of my books should come up. Believe me, I want you guys to buy the book. Niner Sickness Podcast. Hello, everyone in the chat. God bless Pastor Joe T. Niner Sickness. Show us your thoughts on Show us your thoughts. You reconfigured Debo, Trent Williams came in, and Ayuk. How are you feeling about the season? Joseph Olston, this game could be ugly. NFL is growing its brand, capitalism at its finest. Are you talking about the Brazil game? Is that the game you're talking about, Joseph? Let me know, and I promise I'll get back to you. All right, let's look at some other stuff here. College football. We had a game on Monday, so I revised my top 10 based on just the teams I've seen. My new number 10 team is Colorado. My number 9 team is UCLA. 8 is North Carolina. 7 is Georgia Tech. Breaking into our top 10, Boston College. They went into Tallahassee and burned it down. I don't think the Seminoles are very good, but, man, Boston College went in there. Bill O'Brien, and it's so funny. Florida State's dying to get out of the ACC. They think they're going to go up, and they might end up having to go down and stuff. So that'll be something to talk about. Notre Dame is my number 5 team. Number 4 is Penn State. Number 3, LSU, even though they lost. Number 2, Miami, Cam Ward. And then number 1, USC. Give me that tight end, Lake McCree. Like that guy. Let's see, Niner Sickness Podcast. Pastor Joe, I would love to do a live show with you on both of the channels for Week 3, 49ers versus Rams. Hey, yeah, let's talk, Chief, and we'll go from there. I think right there in my description there at the top of the show, you do have my email. Shoot me that email. We can have some fun with it, man. It'll be fun. Yeah, thank you for thinking of me. Rams update, keeping up with that depth chart. I don't need to explain Quentin Lake's situation. They have him listed at safety right now. He's going to get a lot of looks, a lot of time at star slot. And then if not, he'll be at safety. And when we're not looking at him there, John Johnson or Cam Kitchens will be the guy. Cam Curl's got his position on lockdown. And so, yeah, there's a lot of talk about what the Rams are going to do with safeties this year. And honestly, I kind of want to see. I'm really anxious about this defense for Sunday night. Don't get me wrong. As long as the Rams win, I'm going to be happy, even if it's 51-50. But I'm anxious to see Chris Shula's spin on this. I really am. I think the Rams developed this guy. He's been in the room. He's been there through Wade Phillips, Brandon Staley, and Raheem, and so he's grown. He's in that room. He knows exactly what the Rams have, and I'm interested to see his little tweak on that Fangio double high there to see what happens. A couple of things that do have me, again, on the defensive end, really interested. I don't expect these guys to play, but it is interesting. The guys that we aren't not really talking about, but they fascinate me, are Josh Wallace. He's wearing number 30. He's 6 foot 190 out of Michigan. And number 21, Charles Woods, 5'11", 194. I believe he's SMU. I think he's SMU. I'll take correction. And these guys are undrafted free agents. And you saw Wallace play a little bit. I don't remember seeing Charles Woods play. And the Rams are obviously high on these guys. Two UDFAs in the cornerback room. And then you add number 39, Jalen McCullough, Tennessee, 6 foot 206, in the safety room. Three undrafted free agents in the secondary. What must the Rams think of them? What must they think of them? And that's pretty exciting. THT was playing ahead in the preseason of Josh Wallace and Charles Woods. THT got hurt. And if you're playing ahead of somebody in preseason, that means it's tough to make the roster. Darian Kendrick opened the door when he blew out his knee, but this is pretty fascinating. Josh Wallace, Charles Woods. This reminds me of when I was a kid when the Rams went with Dwight Scales and Freeman Johns, and they put Jack Snow in the street. Dwight Scales and Freeman Johns. Didn't last too long for Freeman Johns. Scales worked out a nice special teams career. Final thought again is, where's Tutu? Where is Tutu? Yeah, I just do not know where Tutu's at, and that's kind of a bummer because I really wanted to see him returning kicks. Okay, guys, I see the questions starting to pile up a little bit. I'm all down, and I'll get to them in a second here. I just want to keep working our way through. Power rankings. Power rankings came out from Pro Football Talk. I think Pro Football Talk is the one that's operated from Mike Florio. And, yeah, it's kind of interesting here. let's see here. The number 1 team ranked is the Chiefs. I think everyone gets that. The number 2 team is the Lions. Okay, we'll go there. Number 32 is the Panthers. Number 31, the Patriots. I would have inverted those. Number 30, the Cardinals. Number 29, the Giants. Number 28, the Raiders. Number 27, the Commanders or the Taxkins. 26, the Titans. 25, the Vikings. 24, the Saints. 23, the Broncos. 22, the Seahawks. 21, the Colts. And 20, the Jaguars. Okay. The number 3 team overall after the Chiefs and Lions. Number 3, the Packers. Number 4, the 49ers. Number 5, the Ravens. Number 6, the Eagles. Number 7, the Bengals. Number 8, the Bills. Number 9, the Buccaneers. Number 10, the Texans. Number 11, the Dolphins. Number 12, the Browns. Number 13, the Bears. Number 14, the Jets. Number 15, the Steelers. Number 16, the Falcons. Number 19, the Cowboys. Number 18, the Chargers. They've got the Rams ranked 17th in the power rankings. Now, again, this is no skin off my butt, right? It's not the end of the world for any of us, right? No big deal. But again, I throw this out there. Are the Rams the 17th best team in the NFL? Okay. Again, I throw this out there again. For people who do this stuff, for people who talk a lot and everything, can I just share again? You never have to defer to the kiss butt media. You never have to defer to the KBM. Just because someone is paying them doesn't necessarily mean they got insight, right? In fact, sometimes they're just outright lazy. And Florio, yeah, as my friend Steve Ramirez is hitting on, notorious Ram hater. So yeah, pretty interesting. Don't understand that. Okay, getting to the week 1 schedule. I was 9-7 in week 1 last year, and I want to thank the NFL for no Monday Night Football doubleheader. Thank you, NFL, for that. I hated those doubleheaders on Monday Night Football, because you always run the risk of getting Beth Mowins calling a game. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So week 1, and also just a reminder, I'm picking winners here, and I'll actually pick a game score for the Rams. My thing is, just so you know, guys, I don't know how to read a spreadsheet. I never learned how to gamble. And as I said at the top of the show, I'm not passing judgment on anybody. It's just not what I know how to do. I never learned it. Last time I bet on a game was Super Bowl, I think 19 was the 49ers over the Dolphins. And everyone was hot for Dan Marino. I was working at a supermarket. I was about 18 years old. And I kept hearing about how Dan Marino was this, Dan Marino was that. He had a great year, 48 touchdown passes. But I said, hey, man, there's no way they're doing that again. The Marx brothers are doing that against Ronnie Lott and Eric Wright. So we got into an argument, and I said, $20. And then someone says, hey, I want a piece of that. So the guy dropped in 10. I walked away with $30. It's the last time I bet on anything. But it was mostly out of spite and attitude. And anyway, here we go. Week 1, Thursday, Ravens at KC. I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose another opener at home. They lost to the Lions last year. I don't think they're going to. I think the fact is, if they can beat the Ravens again, knowing they can beat the Ravens again, they beat them in Baltimore, they beat them in Arrowhead this time around. They're just gonna mess with the Ravens' heads, right? And I think Baltimore is going to come out, hit hard early, and then I think they're going to fade late because eventually KC is going to wear them down. So I like KC tomorrow night against Baltimore. I don't think that's an earth-shaking thing, but I do like the Chiefs at home. Packers at Eagles out in Brazil. The travel, the place, I think it's preposterous. But I'm going to go with the Green Bay receivers against the new Philly DBs. I'm going to take the Packers in this one. This is just always hard for me to bet Philly. I don't trust Jalen Hurts. I think they got a lot of great pieces there in Philly, but I'm just not big on Jalen Hurts. I'm not big on Nick Sirianni, and I am going with the Packers. As long as Jordan Love strikes a nice balance between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. That's who he looked like, both those guys kind of in a hybrid situation last year. But at the end, when he threw that last pick in Frisco, he looked a lot like Brett Favre. Okay, Steelers at Falcons, Dirty Birds at home. Pitt is in trouble. I think the Steelers are cruising for a bruising. Cardinals at Bills. Buffalo season goes into the toilet if they lose this game, so they're not going to lose this game. Go with the Bills. Titans, Bears. I think the Bruins at home win a sloppy game, and they only get better from there. Patriots, Bengals. Since he can bring back Booby Clark, Essex Johnson, and Bob Trumpy and play those guys right now and still win this game, Patriots are bad. Texans, Colts. I like Anthony Richardson, but Stroud is the real deal, and the Texans are legit. Jaguars at Dolphins. This is a critical game for both teams, but I wouldn't count out the Jags. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think the Dolphins could win this game, but I'm going to take the odd pick. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. Panthers at Saints. It really feels like a UFL game, doesn't it? Is there anything in the Panthers and Saints you want to see? Wouldn't you be a bummer to live in those regions and you start your day, you come home from church and say, oh man, all right, what do we got here? We got Chargers, Raiders, we got, Cowboys, Browns. What do we got? What are we watching? I'm excited about this. Titans, Bears. Oh no, because you live in Carolina and you live in New Orleans, you got to watch the Panthers and Saints. What a major bummerski that would be. Vikings at Giants. I think everyone's piling on the G-men. I think Brian Daboll is going to pull this one out along with Danny Dimes. Raiders at Chargers. I'm going Bolts at home. I don't think the Raiders are going to have a bad year, but I think Harbaugh gets his tenure started off on the right foot. Broncos at Seahawks. Denver. Sean Payton needs this win, so Denver wins. I think Sean Payton can't afford to start his next year here, second year in Denver, with a loss to the Seahawks. He needs this win. Cowboys at Browns. I think the dog pound is going to just murder the Cowboys. And the only thing that will hold the Browns back is, can Deshaun Watson still play? That's the only thing that's going to hold them back. Browns are going to take the Cowboys. Taxkins, Buccaneers. I'm going with the fabulous Baker boys and Baker Mayfield and squad, going with the Bucs. Rams, Lions, Sunday night. I'll give you a breakdown on that on Friday and a score and everything. And we'll spend time talking about that on Friday. Jets at 49ers on Monday night, the only Monday night game. We're going to go with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers wants this one badly, and I think it's going to take a week or two for the 49ers to get their feet set. I know that might tick off Niners sickness, but we'll see how that plays out. Okay, I think we got some good stuff there. Let's look at some of our questions. It was a stone group, but we're not done yet. Let's look at these questions. Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. Lions 28, Rams 23. Okay, if you say so, look in your own house, though, brother. Look in your own house. What are you going to do against the Falcons? Come talk to me about that. USA expat. Always root big time for all RamView DFAs. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, USA, because every time the Rams score some gold with those UDFAs, it just speaks of their scouting system. It speaks of their process of developing players, and it gives you hope that if you miss on a draft pick, there's some guy out there you're going to find that's going to give you some serious clicks. SM. Remember Kelly Stafford's comment last season about Matthew having trouble connecting with younger players? Not to mention her weird comment earlier this year. Think before you speak. Yep, shake my head. I agree. I don't think she's a bad woman or anything. I think being in LA opens all kinds of opportunities. But I don't think people I think the people that promote her, I think they want to see her say stuff like that. And I think they're looking for a reason to take her down. That's what I think. So I would be a little more leery as she wades into those waters. Steve Ramirez, we did mention that. Florio, notorious Ram hater, and hard at work with that 17th ranking. Hey, Steve, speaking of rankings, I just wanted you to know I put UCLA in my top 10 because of you. That was a favor to you. SM, I don't get the point of announcing that you're not attending a game. Maybe that's just a shot at how Detroit treated them last year. I know they were kind of harsh. There was some harsh stuff. Maybe they just wanted to make a point. That's all I can think of. Tim Burns, you are commissioner for a day. What do you do to get rid? What do you get rid of, and what do you do to make the NFL better? Okay, make the NFL better. I want grass everywhere. I think we're in a day and age where grass can be grown anywhere. They have the technology. I want grass on everything. I don't want fake stuff anymore. What else would I do? Also, I'd just expand the rosters. I'd expand the rosters to active 53. 53 can be active for game day. What else would I do? You know, I think if they're going to keep this new format for kickoffs and they want kickoff returns without the injuries, make the kicker kick off from the 20 or something. I don't know. But if I'm commissioner for a day, that's some of the stuff. Give me more time to think about that one, Mr. Burns. USA expat, low rankings, no Stafford respect. I hope our opponents all take us lightly. I don't think the opponents take us lightly, but I think there is something in the KBM that is decidedly anti-Ram. I don't know. All I know is if I was a coach, I would love this kind of stuff. I would just put it on a bulletin board. In fact, when I was covering a lot of prep football, I used to ask the coaches, I said, do you want me to say something about your team to give you bulletin board material? I would offer to do that for coaches. And someone said, do you really do that? I said, yeah, sure. Manuel Correa getting his hellos in. All right. Demoy Clark, Rams going to win. Totally agree with you, Demoy. Thank you for clicking on. I don't know you, but thank you for clicking on. Let's see here. USA Expat, for just this week only, I'm a Jets fan. There you go. I've never hated the Jets. I've actually quietly rooted for them a little bit, but they can just never get it together, right? And if there's a way to screw it up, they're going to screw it up, right? Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. Steelers 24, Falcons 21. Really? You're going to get 24 points? Okay. If you say so. Mr. Burns, Atlanta 41, Pittsburgh 20. Steve Ramirez gives me a thumb up. Manuel gives me a sup, actually to Tim Burns. Okay. Let's look at this date in Rams history. Let's blaze through this, and we'll go from there. On this date in Rams history, the Rams sent a couple of guys named Jim Feeman and Brad Myers to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 1958 draft pick. That there is some speculation that draft pick actually turned into Frank Ryan, quarterback. And Frank Ryan was actually a quarterback for the Rams who later got dealt to the Browns. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, the Rams had a tendency after their glory years in the mid-50s to trade quarterbacks that won championships other places. Frank Ryan won an NFL championship for the Cleveland Browns. Bill Wade, or Waddy, however you want to pronounce it, won a title in 63 for the Bears. And of course, Norm Van Brocklin won a title for the Eagles in 1960. And it kind of continued because when the Rams moved Jaworski in 77 to the Eagles, he ended up taking them to the Super Bowl in 1980. So I just wanted to mention that in regards to Frank Ryan. Same day, Rams acquired Rudy Bukic from the Browns, and Rudy Bukic was a former USC quarterback. On this day in 1973, the Rams traded Gene Howard, cornerback. Gene Howard had been with the Rams for 2 years, and he had about 9 interceptions in 2 seasons. The Rams did a nice job. And that was that 73. The Rams were shuffling all over the place. They made a late trade for Charlie Stukes. They ended up trading Gene Howard, who'd been a starter the previous year. They traded him to Detroit. I don't think he even played in Detroit. I think he got cut, and that was the end of his career. But the Rams are making all kinds of moves in their secondary in that offseason in 73 because the only one that came back as a starter was Dave Elmendorf. And, a lot of interesting stuff. Eddie McMillan was a draft pick, 4th round. Stukes was the other one. And then they picked up Steve Priest in August, too. And Al Clark would be considered the nickelback if they called it that in those days. Anyway, on this date, 1975, Rams cut Bob Stein, who they acquired in the Willie Ellison deal, which led to Cullen Bryant and Jim Youngblood. Let's see here. Tim Stokes. Tim Stokes was a Rams offensive lineman, and they sent him to the Redskins as part of a package deal with a 6th and an 8th. And the Rams got back 3 picks in the 78 draft and 1 pick in the 79 draft. Now, most of these guys didn't amount to anything, but the pick they got in 78 was the 3rd round pick in 78th overall. It turned out to be UCLA kicker Frank Corral. Thought that was pretty interesting there. 2017, Nelson Spruce was officially released with an injury settlement. On this day a year ago, former Rams safety Eddie Meter died at the age of 86. Think about this. This guy was spent all 12 seasons with the Rams, 59 through 70, 6 Pro Bowls, 46 picks, 163 games, 160 starts, just missed 1 game. He was a 7th-round pick out of Arkansas Tech. He was number 21 before Cromwell was 21. And it's an absolute crime he didn't get in the Hall of Fame before he passed away. There was a push that year in 23 to get him in the Hall of Fame. I think he was on the all-decade team. And again, maybe if George Allen's teams, those teams from 67 through 70, picked off a couple of playoff wins, maybe made a Super Bowl appearance, maybe Eddie Mitter would have been treated differently. I actually got to connect with him on Facebook, and it's a real bummer. He passed away a year ago today. Born on this day, former Ram wide receiver Wendell Tucker, who was part of the deal that sent Billy Truax to the Cowboys. And he never played again in the NFL. I think he was on the taxi squad for the Cowboys in 71, 72, and that was it. But that deal with Billy Truax and Wendell Tucker actually netted the Rams Lance Retzel. Wendell Tucker turns 81 today. Since we're not going to be on the air tomorrow, September 5th, speaking of Rams secondary in 73, after getting rid of Gene Howard on September 4th, the Rams put combo safety DB corner Jim Nettles on waivers after several seasons with the Rams. 1982, the Rams traded Jeff Rutledge to the Giants for a 4th-round pick, and that 4th-round pick in 1983 became Vince Newsom. September 5th, 1985, Rams signed Lynn Kane, former USC fullback, who was at the end of his career after a nice run with the Falcons. And then in 1991, the Rams sent Irv Pankey to the Colts. 2015, Rams released quarterback Austin Davis. There we go. I think we got that stuff out there. Let's look and see if we have any other questions or thoughts there. Steve Ramirez, Frank Ryan invented the old NFL strategy board game. I knew Frank Ryan was a genius. I did not know he did that. That's pretty interesting. SM, do you think Tutu Atwell gets traded? Do the Rams have a plan for him? That's a great question, SM. That's a really great question, because the idea here is that, he's in his last year of his contract. And, they said that there were teams that were interested in him at the deadline last year. That could be very much it. Xavier Smith made it through waivers to the practice squad, and the Rams could do a Van Jefferson to Tutu Atwell. Sure seems that way. It's going to be interesting to see how these first couple weeks go for him. How many snaps does he get? Do they incorporate him in some way? Again, you're talking Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson, and Puka Nacua. Those snaps are going to be precious to come by, and we'll see. If we're in week 2, and forget about targets. If Jordan Whittington has more snaps on the offense than Tutu Atwell, and he's not returning kicks, I think he's got to be on the block. It would just make sense for him to be on the block. If you're not playing him and you can pick up a 6th rounder for him, right? You can give him a 6th rounder for him. Why not? Let's see here. Tim Burns, is Deion Sanders coaching hype, or can he really coach? I say unemployed next year. I think we're going to find out when his son graduates. I think we're going to find out when Travis Hunter and Shadur go. I think Travis Hunter has to play another year, doesn't he? Because he's a true freshman or a true sophomore, right? He's got to get that 3rd year in school in. And Shadur, I think, is a senior. And I think Shadur is talented, but I don't trust Shadur. You offer me, Garrett Nussmeier or Shadur, I'm taking Nussmeier. You offer Carson Beck or Shadur, I'm taking Carson Beck. You offer Miller Moss, I think I'm taking Miller Moss. Miller Moss was amazing against LSU on Monday, and I know we've talked about that. Okay, we're at the 43-minute mark. I know I blasted through a bunch of stuff here, guys. Did you have a problem with any of my picks? I went 9-7 week 1 last year, so I hope I'm going to do better. Overall, I had a pretty good year, like 182 and 90 in my picks. I don't think there's a problem there. KC over the Ravens. Everyone stays healthy. I think they're fine. Ravens, I saw. I don't know who it was, but I kept watching different things, and people say, "Oh, the Ravens are going to just be fine because Ronnie Stanley's still there at left tackle." You can't lose 3 people on your offensive line and think you're just going to be fine. You might be, but you can't say you're going to be fine. I think the Ravens have some troubles. I think they do. And yeah. And what do you think about, let's just say Lamar Jackson's career, this is its high point. He never wins a Super Bowl. He maybe wins one more playoff game, but he's got 2 MVPs. Is he Hall of Fame? Is Lamar Jackson Hall of Fame? Because I heard Colin Cowherd referencing Lamar Jackson as Hall of Fame. Yeah. I don't know about that. Packers, Eagles, I talked about that. I do like the Packers receivers. Phillies DBs are young, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't want Steeler fan Rob mad at me, but I am feeling really good about the Falcons at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Cardinals could run the risk of getting blown out by Buffalo. Bears, Titans, for some reason, I feel like it's going to be sloppy, and everyone's going to say, hey, they're just growing into this. They're going to get better, and I think it's going to be true. The Bengals, I think, are going to kill the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to be really, really bad. If they stay on this trajectory, I think Gerard Merrill could be a one and done. Yeah, I think that. Texans, Colts, I do like the Colts. And if Anthony Richardson had kept playing last year, I feel like this game would be a little harder to pick. But right now, I got to go Texans. Jaguars, Dolphins, I said Jaguars, but again, weather's nice. They're in Miami. I probably should go with the Dolphins. This is the one I feel the worst about, but I'm going to stick with the Jaguars. Panthers, Saints, I just don't care. It's obviously really important for Bryce Young. Vikings, Giants, I think people are just underestimating the G-men. I don't think they're going to be great, but I don't think they're going to be New England bad either. Raiders, Chargers, I think the Raiders could be real interesting, but I think the Bolts at home are going to be a little bit tough, a little bit tougher. And I want to see Sean Payton and Bo Nix take apart that new coaching staff in Seattle. As a Ram fan, I do. And just like we're all Jet fans, we're going to be Bronco fans this weekend as well. Cowboys, Browns. Does anyone out there believe in the Cowboys? I'd be really curious to know. Texans, Buccaneers. I think it's going to be a growing experience for the Texans. I think everyone's putting a little too much on Jaden too soon. And I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield. Yeah, that's where I'm dancing there. Okay, we got to the 46-minute mark, and like I usually like to go to the 50. Let's see here. Baltimore will beat KC tomorrow. SM, okay. SM is taking the Ravens. Are you a Lamar guy? You believe in Lamar? Tim Burns, I will send you and Steeler fan Rob my picks again this year. Feel free, and we'll out you right here on the air. Say, hey, Tim Burns made these picks. SM, I don't see Lamar winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. He's a different quarterback in the playoffs. I agree. It's a different game in the playoffs. What do you think Lamar's hang-up is? He's a hard worker. He's a good leader. He takes care of his business. I like everything about Lamar. You could see him getting better. He's a better passer now than he was when he first came in, but he's just not an elite thrower. He's good. He's okay. He's just not elite. And sooner or later, man, all those hits, they take their toll. USA expat, Bolts at home, probably packed half full of Raider fans. That's true. I hear what you say. I hear what you say there, USA expat. That's true. If the Rams don't have a home field advantage much, I doubt very much the Chargers do. And honestly, can't the Chargers just go home? Can't we just ask the Chargers to leave, right? Then the Rams can put up a ring of honor. Can't the Chargers go and beg the Padres, hey, can we play at Petco? Or, beg the Aztecs to go back and play wherever the Aztecs are playing now. I really don't like the Chargers being here. Anyway, Cole Swanson, do you think Caleb Williams breaks the 22-year curse for first overall quarterbacks in their first game? Yeah, I do. I do, because they're playing the Titans. I do. And he's at home. And look what's around him. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Kendall, man, my mind's blanking on the Charger receiver that they got. You're bringing in DeAndre Swift. You got Gerald Everett. You got Cole Kmet. You got a pretty good offensive line. I think they do. And I don't think the Titans are dangerous. I just don't think they're dangerous unless are they going to show us something that we just didn't expect to see? I think Caleb Williams, I didn't know it was a 22-year losing curse. But yeah, I do see that happening. Caleb Williams is really good. Caleb Williams is really good already, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't star. Keenan Allen, there we go. I was going to call him Kendall McDaniel. Keenan Allen, thank you so much. It's just that I always had him on my fantasy team, Steve, and Keenan Allen was always hurt, right? He was always hurt. Maybe with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen doesn't take as many hits, and he's alive and well and kicking throughout the whole course of a 17-game season played over 18 weeks. Okay, guys, I think we've hit the 49:30 mark. So in 30 seconds, I want to bail us out of here. Thank you so much for welcome to the club. Thank you so much for joining me, and I appreciate you guys being here. We'll be live at 5 on Friday. We'll do a recap of Thursday night game, and I might come on earlier on Friday. Just with that said, because they are playing at 5, and I want people to watch us. So I think I might come on about 2:00 on Friday. Special announcement there, 2:00 on Friday, just because the game starts in Brazil and we're going to be wanting to watch it, right? So we're going to say 2:00 Pacific Standard Time on Friday. We'll be doing RamView. Okay. Tim Powers, Rams defense ranked at the bottom. Would love to see a swarm on golf. Again, Mr. Powers, I'll throw that in there. I think people are saying, oh, Aaron Donald's gone. Boom, that's it. And Aaron Donald's gone. They're going to suck. And they're not really investing into it. Also, the other aspect of that is they're factoring in Ernest Jones. And if the Rams are so easy to move off Ernest Jones, they're feeling very good about the room, and they weren't very high for some reason. I think they're talking about the knee on Ernest Jones. And so they moved off. We heard this last year. Rams are going to be historically bad. Rams are going to win 5 games. We heard that coming out of Vegas. And Vegas is not supposed to ever be wrong, but Vegas was wrong. So I do think this Rams defense is going to be pretty good. And I think what they need to do on offense against Detroit is pound the ball. Just pound it. Take Aiden Hutchinson out of the game. Go up the middle. In fact, they need to deliver some punishment to Aleem McNeil. He was the guy that put that kind of double kibosh on Stafford in the playoff game last year. Remember, it looked like Stafford was knocked out. Not saying McNeil's a bad dude, but the Rams need to plow the road and take Aiden Hutchinson out of this game where he's not a factor. Maybe run the ball at Aiden Hutchinson. SM, Bears are going to be good. Week 4 will be tougher than people think. I think the good news for the Rams going to Chicago is that it's week 4. I don't think they're going to hit their peak yet. I think if everything's going the way Chicago thinks it's going to go, I think by mid-season, when the weather starts to cool, I think everything else will start to come together for them. But I think week 4, the Rams, they'll still be a little early in the process, and the weather shouldn't be bad. And I think that's a 10 a.m. game, right? That's a 10 a.m. game. So the weather should still be pretty good. In fact, it should be pretty nice there at Soldier Field. So I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I agree with you, SM. But I think the Rams should win that game. I think the Bears are going to be better later in the season. I think week 4 is just a little too early for them to be scary. Good. Okay, I think we got it. Guys, thanks for clicking on. And we will see you 2:00 on Friday. Thanks so much. Be sure to hit like, subscribe. Check out my book, Ram Cave.